Hey, this is Raul with DFW Outdoor Rentals, and this is the training video for the Coachman CrossTrail. So the first thing I want to say is there's going to be bookmarks that you can skip through. So this video is intended more as a supplement. A majority of the people will go through hands-on live training on pickup day. You can use this video as a supplement. If you need to go back and look at anything, you can click on one of the bookmarks below and jump to that area. But in some cases, due to time constraints or scheduling, we may tell you that this video is your training. And if we tell you that, then it is a requirement to go through this entire video and before pickup day, so that you can know how things function and to make sure that your trip is a success. So we're going to jump right into it. I will be using the same checklist that I go over with when people come and pick up. So we're going to go through that, and the first thing we talk about is driving. So the first thing I want to say is you make sure you're driving at safe speeds. Drive to the conditions, right? These things aren't intended to go 80 miles on the highway and can be affected by wind, rain, whatever it may be. So especially wind. If you got a crosswind coming across, you're going to feel it. You should slow your speed down. All right. Understand height. Most RVs are going to be right in the range of 10.5 to 11.5 feet tall, and they also have multiple components on top, which can consist of air conditioners, antennas, just covers and stuff like that. So this is not an issue when you're on the roads and the highways, but it's more of an issue if you're going home to load up, watching for low-hanging trees. And also, guys, don't stop at any drive-throughs or areas like that. Park far away, a distance away from when you're stopping to take breaks and stuff like that, and walk the rest of the way, please. The other thing we'll talk about is just wider turns. So what you have here is a 25-foot unit. It's not quite as big as some of the other RVs you see, but there is still some tail swing that you're going to experience when you're turning. Now, what does that mean? Is it not necessarily an issue, again, when you're on the roads. You should be able to make turns pretty easy, but it's especially when you stop somewhere, and specifically a gas station that might have pillars on the side here, and you go and you make a turn right as you start the engine and head out, and you make that turn, that tail is going to swing and probably hit those pillars. So you always want to gradually ease into turns when you're against an obstacle. So even in here, where we got cars or vehicles on either side, we want to pull out and then turn. Same thing when you're in a gas station. Watch the tail swing whenever you're in one of these RVs. All right, backing up. This unit does have a backup camera, but do not rely on that as your only source of determining what's behind you or just backing up. All right, so in other words, when you are backing up, it's still good to have a partner back there, even though you do have that rear vision camera. This unit also has blind spot cameras. They will come on automatically when you put your signal on and you're changing lanes or turning. You're gonna see cameras pop up on that radio display. All right, so there is no other way to get them to turn on. They only come on when you're using your signal. The other thing is, let's take a quick look under the hood, just to be familiar with where things are at, like how to open the hood. There you go, right there. All right, just the two basic things, right? Especially if you're on a longer trip. Your coolant right here, which its level is right where it should be, right here, cold fill right there. And then your oil dipstick is down there, and your oil fill is just on the other side. We will, again, pop the hood on pickup day just to make sure everything looks okay, and you're good to go. All right, so that's kind of the driving portion of the training right there, and just making sure you're successful while taking the RV on the trip. Now let's look at some of the setup items or some of the equipment involved with the RV. So first thing we'll go around here and look at is, here is the propane. All right, so this will be, if not full, pretty close to full when you pick up. All right. It will last a long time unless you're in the winter using heater. That's going to be the biggest propane hog. But if you're on a spring, summer, fall trip, this should be plenty. But if you do need to get it filled, you need to find a spot that fills up propane. You drive the RV up there, and you get them to fill it up directly while that propane is in the vehicle. One thing to note, at least here in Texas, I'm not sure what the law is in other states, but you're supposed to shut off propane cylinders before you go into gas stations. Okay, so just be aware of that. I just want to talk about this. This is just a vent hood flap. It's the exhaust when you use that over the stove fan. This one, some of them do close and you got to open them. This one is just moves freely. So once you turn on that fan, the exhaust will come out. All right, the next thing we'll look at real quick is the outdoor entertainment center, which includes the TV and also a sound bar that you can connect your phone to via Bluetooth. It also has a radio, so you can listen to the radio out here. This unit has a ton of storage. So if you're going on a long trip, got a lot to take with you, you're definitely going to want this vehicle right here. Take a look in here. You can see the access panel here. Gives you access to a huge amount of space here. All right, you also have access to that huge storage area via this access panel, where you can store your more stuff and utilize this space. And on top of that, you do have stairs here that you can fold down to access more. And on this side, I want to point out the first thing over here is the generator. Now, you should not need to do anything in this area. I just like to show that this is where the generator is located. So again, operation of the generator, all that is all handled inside. There's no reason to do anything out here other than to know that this is where the generator is located. All right, next let's talk about hookups. We got 3 different things that we're going to discuss. First is going to be the freshwater hookup, which all these are identified and labeled bags. The freshwater hookup is in the blue bag labeled freshwater. The electric is in a yellow bag labeled electric. And then we'll talk about the sewer items, which is in the black bag labeled dirty water. All right, in the electric bag, we'll take a look in there right now. What you're going to see in there is the cord for the RV. Right there. What you're also going to find in here, which at the moment is not showing, but you're also going to find in there a surge protector and also a 30 to 15 amp adapter that you can use with regular household electric. The important part here is that when you do connect your RV to the 30 amp, by the way, this is a 30 amp service RV. When you connect it to your 30 amp connection, that you're using the surge protector 100% of the time. So please make sure that that's being done. That's going to protect the RV, help protect the RV from any electrical issues at the park you're staying at or whatever it may be. Next, we'll go over to the freshwater bag and look in there. Just a couple of things in here to show. Just the white water hose, but I want to take note is on the end of the white water hose is a pressure regulator. So please make sure that that's being used. It works best on the faucet side at your campground. You can connect it to the RV side, but it tends to work better when it's on the faucet side. And also make sure that you take that off when you're breaking camp and coming back. A lot of people will forget that part. Next, we'll look at the dirty water bag, or really what it is the sewage bag. And here you can see that water hose may or may not be in the bag, but that water hose is specifically, the green water hose specifically for use with the sewer items. This is going to get used for the black tank flush, which we'll look at in a minute. In here, you simply have the hose, the sewer hose that goes onto the RV, which we'll look at in a minute. This is the adapter that goes on the other end of the hose, which will go into the sewer. You also have a pair of gloves in here to use. Right next to that, which will not be in the bag, but this is a hose cradle that you can use to help hold that hose up while you're dumping the tank. So here towards the back of the RV is where we're going to utilize that electric and freshwater connection. Your electric is going to plug into the RV at this point right here, and which is pretty simple, it's self-explanatory. The whitewater hose is going to plug into this connection right here that is labeled city water connection. Right below, straight down below that is where you will plug in that whitewater hose. Across from the city water connection where you would plug in your hose if you had water service, the connection directly across from that is your water tank connection. This is where you would connect the hose to fill up the water tank in the RV. This is so that you can carry water with you, either in a case where you're going to be camping where there is no water, or in a case where you're trying to use water while you're traveling. You're going to want to fill up that tank right there, And this is where you'll be using a water pump, which we'll take a look at inside here. This RV runs on unleaded fuel only. It is labeled at the point where you fill up. Please make sure that you did not use diesel in this RV. It is unleaded fuel. Another point about the gas is the generator runs on the same gas tank that the RV runs on. Now there is a safeguard in place where if you're using the the generator, that it will not use up all the gas. It will leave some in the vehicle for you so that you can run the vehicle. But please, again, unleaded fuel only. Let's talk about the sewage. You have two tanks. You have a gray tank, which is your shower water and your sink water, and you have a black tank, which is your sewage. So that's the difference between the two. When we go inside, you're going to see two different meters for your black and your gray tank. You'll need to know that so you know, and plus your handles correspond to which tank it is, whether it's a black handle for the black tank or a gray handle for the gray tank. The RV will have to be dumped as you're going throughout your trip from one location to the other. If you notice that using the meters inside, if you notice that the tanks are getting full, you'll want to dump it. Even if they're not full, you typically don't want to travel with the extra weight of fluids in the tanks. So, and then to top it off, upon return, the RV is required to be dumped before you return it. Now, of course, we do offer a dump service that you can pay for us to dump the RV upon your return, so you don't even have to worry about that. But let's look at dumping the RV right now.
Before we do that, I want to say always look to see on the inside of these if the cap is in place. They should be in place, but since this thing gets rented out by different people, by the time you get it, it may not be in place, and if not, that's fine. We're just trying to keep the mess out of there. But you want to make sure this is not in there, and it's easier to see on this side than it is on that side where it's recessed on there, so you may not see it. So you want to make sure that's out of there before you ever do this, because what will happen is you'll get everything connected, and if you miss the cap on that side, you'll pull that black tank handle, and there will be sewage waiting to come out, and you'll be wondering why none is coming out here. Well, it's because the cap's on.
So the first thing you're going to do is you're gonna get that hose out of the dirty water bag, and you're going to connect the hose to the sewer connection on the RV. You can then use the hose stand that we were just looking at to cradle the hose, put the adapter on the other end of the hose, and insert that adapter into the sewage, the campsite or the RV park that you're at. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to dump that black water tank. While that is running out, go ahead and connect your green hose to the water supply at your dump station or campsite, and you're going to connect that water hose to this connection here, which is a tank flush just above the water tank and city water connection. Once that black tank slows down a bit, you're going to go ahead and turn on that black tank flush, and it's going to start flushing out that black tank. You're going to run it for a couple minutes, let it run out. I'll turn it off. I'll let it run. I'll let it run out, and then I'll hit it up again until I see that the water is running mostly clear. Once we've achieved that, we'll turn off that water and let the black tank finish running out. Close it. You can disconnect the hose at this point, and next we're gonna open up the gray tank and let that gray water run out. Let's talk about leveling the RV. So Class C's are a little bit different than trailers, obviously, and the greater challenge is going to be the two tires on the back end. And all we're going to do is make two sets of we're going to use two blocks, or we're going to make two sets of ramps. And what I mean by that, all right, using the supplied level, the first thing you're going to do when you get into your campsite or your spot, whether that's backing in or pull through, is just check your side-to-side level. If you're within those black lines there, then you're good. But if you're really offset, there is no automatic levelers on this RV, so you'd have to use the leveling blocks. So let's say in this case that this side needed to come up some. We're going to use our leveling blocks by placing blocks right next to the back tires. In this case, we're going to start with the back tires. We're going to place them right next where we want to be at. Then what we're going to do is drive up and then push those blocks in so we can drive those tires back over those blocks. Okay, and then that's going to lift it up. If you need to go more than one block, if one block's not going to get you level, then you're going to need to use two blocks, but you don't want to stack them on each other. You want to make little ramps like this, all right, to put the tires up on them. So once you have those rear tires up, check your level again. You may be level then. If not, you may need to do the same to the front tire to get that whole side up. The next thing will be leveling front and back, where you're going to turn your level towards facing the front and the back of the RV and see how level you are front and back. Again, this would be more using blocks in the 2 front tires or the 2 rear tires to make that side come up. All right, as we step into the CrossTrail, first thing is down here, kind of at leg level, I guess you would say, are the light switches. You have the patio light, which is basically the outside strip right outside the door here for nighttime use. You have the cap light, which is basically a decorative light up on the front cap of the RV. It really serves no purpose other than decoration. You have the entry light, and you have the compartment light. Okay, so those are, and the entry light, of course, is your lights inside the coach here, and the compartment light is the light for the big compartment back here. All right, the only other thing down here, which you should not have to mess with during your trip, is a battery cutoff switch. This should be in the on position the whole time. Also right here is the awning switch. You see it says an extend and a retract. So a note about the awning. All right, it's a 16-foot awning on this unit. And what I usually tell people is that you're free to use the awning, but understand it is the easiest way to cause damage to a camper. So if it's windy, you want to bring it in. Don't leave it unattended. You go somewhere, you go to bed at night, bring it in. Don't hang anything from it, and don't tie anything to it. Watch for obstructions. Make sure everybody understands, the kids and everything. If they want to bring the awning out, if there's a tree at the campsite, make sure they know they can't bring it all the way out. But other than that, just if you use it with some caution, should be just fine. Right here are the meters. Okay, so the first thing we'll go over is just going over here on this side is the water pump. So you'll need the water pump to use the water when you don't have a water connection. In other words, you're driving or you're mobile or your site just does not have a water fountain to connect to the camper, as we showed during the connection section. So you would have water in your tank, and then you would use the water pump to build up that pressure and to use the faucets, the toilet, etc. You don't need to leave it on. As a matter of fact, if you're not using it, just turn it off. Right below that is the water heater. It's a gas water heater. So again, once you get to your spot, you'll want to turn that on. That way you have hot water. Now, depending on the temperature outside, this thing can take up to 45 minutes to heat up the water. Okay? And that's what that looks like. You'll see this light go away eventually, just right there. And that means that the water heater is lit. You can also hear it outside. The generator. So you have a generator prime button here that you would push until you see the light. And then you would just push the start side of that button right there. Now, if it takes more than about 10 seconds for that generator to start, stop, give it about a 10-second break, and then try again. This Wi-Fi Ranger is only a signal strength. It only provides signal strength. It is not a Wi-Fi. All right, and then you have your meters. The first one is LPG, liquid propane gas, to tell you how much propane you have. The next one is your battery. All right, if you're connected to power, that will always show full, or if you have the generator on, it'll always show full. Then your fresh water, which is your freshwater tank, okay, which is what you use with the water pump. And then your black tank, which is your sewage, and your gray tank, which is your wastewater, sink and shower water. All right, only other button here is the tank heater, used in the winter to keep that freshwater tank from freezing. But that is your control panel.